but yeah, I mean, my kids, I feel like they're watching what I do, right? Even though they're young, I want them to normalize that being an entrepreneur is not strange, or it's not something that only a few people do. I want them to realize that this is an option for them when they grow up, that it's normal, people actually do this. Because for me growing up, I never had, I guess when we're never, all of our family, they're all W-2. Nobody had a business, so it was, I'm the only one who's doing this basically.
Welcome to Chai and Cabins, where we talk all things entrepreneurship, short-term rentals, real estate, and business. My name is Rashmi, like don't rush me, and it's my pleasure to welcome you onto this podcast. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chai and Cabin. Jennifer and I had an awesome conversation today, you all. She has a full-time job, she has a family, she has 2 young kids, and she owns 3 Airbnbs out in Broken Bow in Oklahoma, and then she is co-hosting for 6 other clients. We talk all about this journey here, about how she got here from the Philippines, how she started into real estate, her full-time job, how she manages everything, which is a lot, and her plans for the future, including building an A-frame coming right up. Enjoy, guys. Sherwood, what does your portfolio currently look like? What do you have?
Yeah, so I have 2 that we own by ourselves in Broken Bow. So everything that I own is in Broken Bow. Hopefully at some point we're gonna venture out into other areas. I always say this, like, okay, I'm done with Broken Bow, and then like do another one for some reason. So we have 2, and then I have a partner with my third one. Mm-hmm. And then that one came with an extra lot. So we're gonna build another one on that lot with my partner. So pretty excited about that. And then I co-host for 4 in Broken Bow, also onboarding 2 more. There's one in Texas too, like Lakefront. So Texas, Oklahoma area.
I love it. That's awesome. When did you start real estate investing?
2021. So like during, I guess towards the end of COVID is when I started. So I feel like I'm a little late in the game. Sometimes I feel like, but you always say I wish I started like 10 years ago when the interest rates were like super low. But yeah, so I started 2021, and then so 2 years. 2 years.
I love it. And so let's go back a little bit more in time and kind of tell me, where did you grow up? How, did you get a job? Do you still have a job? And then how did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Philippines. Then we migrated here 2007, I think, 2007. So as a family, I initially didn't want to move here. I, had doubts about like, because it was great back home for me. I had my friends there, family, so we moved here. But now we're settled here in Texas now. So, I have actually an industrial engineering degree. So I went to school there, and then I still have my W-2 right now. So I work for a pharma company. I'm trying to get to full-time investing or developing right now, but so hopefully like maybe next year, fingers crossed. But yeah, I don't know if I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I knew that in corporate, I've always felt like out of place. And I guess I just didn't really realize that until like a few years ago that I've, like when, in real estate investing, I feel like people always come in, oh, you have great design, blah, blah, blah. I think I never get that much like praise in the corporate world because I never really felt like I belonged there. And that's just something that I realized, like, now that I'm older, like, I really love this part of the business, like the creativity, the design. I'm pretty competitive too. So I like, the competition part of it with the SDR business. So that's where I'm at right now. I have, trying to do this full time. So yeah, that's
awesome. How did you hear about Broken Bow? What got you interested in that market?
So I live 3 hours away from it. I actually went there to visit like 10 years ago with friends.
Mhm.
This was back in the days when nothing was like a luxury. It was just like all rustic cabins. Not what it looks like right now. But I never thought of like doing that. I mean, I just started 2 years ago, so it's just that's how I learned from it. A lot of people in Dallas like to go to Broken Bow, and I thought I'll start somewhere where it's I could just drive out there and if it fails, then I didn't have to like go to Florida or anything like really far, So thought it was convenient to do a first rental.
That's exactly how I got started. I lived in Austin and then I bought out in Fredericksburg because it's like an hour away from
Yeah,
me. And I was like, if the worst thing happens, I can go. But if not, like I got to figure out like how to manage these
yeah,
properties.
yeah. So that's how it all went out.
Did you fall into this and then did you like convince your husband or like how did that conversation go? I'm always like curious because I was like, hello, I'd like to buy this property an hour away from us.
So I think my story is similar to a lot of people where I started thinking about long-term rentals first, and then it's like, okay, there's no money there. I don't. Well, I mean, there's the cash flow is just not there right now with the prices of houses at that time when I was looking, it was like super high. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll do multifamily. And then I thought about Broken Bow because my friend, actually he wasn't investing in Broken Bow. He was investing in the Smokies. So he was like doing a Facebook Live of him like going to the Smokies with his U-Haul. And I was like, well, I can do that. I mean, he has a W-2, he has like kids, like young kids like me. And so I just started researching on like Bigger Pockets and all of that, and then Airbnb. Yeah, that's really how it was through somebody. Like I was just inspired by that person, which really like you never know who you're inspiring when you're putting yourself out there. I'm sure you are probably, people are looking at you and saying, hey, like Rash is doing all these things. I could probably do that too, right? So people are watching what you're doing, and you just never know. So that's how I got started on like SDRs.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people think it's more complicated than it is. And I'm like, no, I literally just took action. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing
I
that's
just bought a house. That's
there's nothing like super fancy.
MLS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, people think it's like all this whole like secret formula that you have to do, and it's really not. It's really just buying a property.
So you bought your first property in Broken Bow. What did you buy in Broken Bow? And why did you buy that specific property?
So we bought it was a 2 bedroom, but it was pretty small on 2 acres. Yeah, it was an MLS just on the market. We bought it when it was already under construction, so we were able to customize a little bit on the cabin. But it was pretty. I would say there's nothing like special about it, and I've always wanted to like for me, my strategy is always I buy below market and then I like zhuzh it up, right? That's like my strategy with everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did some accent walls, and then I added that geodome in the properties. We have like 2 acres. Yeah, I did pretty well like the first year.
What inspired you to add the geodome? Because that's so unique. Like I've never seen anyone do it. So what got you to go like, oh, I should add a geodome. Like this would do well.
Yeah, so I was just doing some research, like what can I add on this property that could make it pop on the pictures. I don't know, I was just going through Pinterest, doing some research. I'm like a big research person. Like I do research on a lot of things, like what are other markets doing. So I saw a dome somewhere. I think Austin probably has a lot of those, so like just the domes. And I thought maybe there's like a little small one like this that I can just buy and then put it on property. Yeah, so I just really did some research and figure out like what can I add that would make it stand out.
And do you find that guests talk about it? Like, is that the reason they book?
Yeah. So it's really like people like to take pictures, inside. It's cozy. You can really, I mean, you can sleep in it, but it's not comfortable probably. um, yeah, so it looks really cute on the pictures. I think that's one of the main selling points of the cabin is the dome.
I love it. And now Broken Bow, I'm sure kind of by the time you closed on the deal, everybody was like, the market is super saturated. Don't buy here. Because like I feel like they started saying that and then it like spread across the country. And now everyone's like, don't buy in the Smokies, don't buy in Broken Bow, don't
Yeah,
buy anywhere. Basically, if you listen to the masses, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
I know you bought another property and then you bought your third one. So
Mhm.
how did that conversation go? Or what made you go like, no, I'm still going to continue buying in this market?
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, there's like pros and cons with saturation, right? Saturation for me means more like demand. There's just demand coming in. People know about it. That's what saturating, because people now want to invest in something that everybody knows about. So I think of it that way. Like I think of it positively, where I mean, and we're still cash flowing, so it's not like, I mean, how
Making money. What's the
so I mean, for me, it still makes sense. So why am I gonna stop there, right? So, but I'm not like building like 5 cabins at a time. I'm doing it like one every year anyway. So it's not like it's a super high risk for me. But yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of my guests that are coming in are new. They haven't been to the area.
really?
So yeah, so I mean, there's still new demand coming in because DFW is growing as a city. So
And I'm sure you get this too, because I get a lot of people that are like from Arkansas, that are from Louisiana, that are
yeah,
from Missouri, like
yeah,
markets I'd never considered. Like I thought people from Dallas, like they were the only ones that went until I started looking and I was like, oh, there's all these places that are only like 2 hours away, 3 hours away.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That's awesome. So on your next property, did you also buy a 2-2 or what did you buy?
So the second one, so that's a 4-4 on the river. So so I feel like it's a risk because I'm very familiar with the area. Everybody asks, I posted in all the groups, hey, I'm thinking of building a cabin on the river, Hoover River. And everybody was like, no, you shouldn't build there. It's gonna flood. It's too far from like Cocha Town. Everybody was against it. And I was also thinking maybe we'll show up on like the Airbnb map, like, the logistics of it all. But as soon as I saw that river flowing when I went there and met with the builder, I mean, I just thought this, like, I haven't seen anything like this in the area, right? So I knew that I had to get a property, and yeah, that's how I got it. So it's a more of a risk because it's kind of away from the city, but I feel like if people love it there. There's water, you can fish. It's just a different atmosphere.
There's so much to do there, and we're neighbors out there. And then you decided to build a pool, and you're the only person in that whole row that has a pool. So talk to me about that. Like, what was that process like? How did you find out? Were you like, this is going to make us, it's going to set us apart?
Yeah. So again, like with any property that we build, we try to stand out, right? So, and I thought, okay, so there's the river, and then so where the cabin sits, it's like there's a slope down to the river. And I just thought, it would be good to have like a pool here. I can do an above ground one because it's pretty much just sloped down. I don't have to dig. I can probably save money there. So that's pretty much we just decided, okay, we're gonna do a pool. And then yeah, so I actually became a distributor for that pool company because,
Awesome.
because I brought them into Oklahoma. Yeah, so it's really just making a decision and just sticking with it. So yeah, and then the third one also has a pool, because pool cabins do well there in that area. So yeah.
I love it. So you have 3 properties that you own and then you co-host for others. So I want to focus on the ones you own. I know you have a really big presence on Instagram and social media. When did you decide to do that? Because I find a lot of people, they're like, I'm going to wait till I get to like property number 5. And then I'm going to be like, now I'm going to go onto social media. And then 2 months later, they're like, that was a waste of time. Nothing happened. I didn't get a single booking and I'm never going to do this again. Like none of this works.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've always like looked at properties where when they have a social media presence, like I feel like even though you don't get bookings from it, I think it just builds awareness for people, and they kind of, it closes the deal for them, right? Because when they see that, oh, you have an Instagram account, it's a real property. Oh, I'm gonna book that. So although I would say I I probably need to do better at it. I probably need a social media person, to be honest, because I'm not like the best at it. I'm not the best at like making reels, making all this content. Yeah, so, but I think it definitely helps with just, getting your cabin out there.
I think something you highlighted, which I don't know if you realized you said this, but you said, I wasn't the best, but I still do it. And that's so important because none of this is going to be perfect, right? Like you're going to buy your first property and it's not going to be perfect. And just like this moment of like pure panic, right? Because you're like, what did I just do? Like,
What
right?
did I decide? Yeah.
Or like when you hit publish on Airbnb and like, 10 minutes later, I'm like, why don't I have a booking? Like,
I
what did
know.
I just
Like,
do?
what's happening here? Am I showing up?
Right? And then social media is like that, right? Like you put out all of this work and you're like, is anyone even seeing this? But with the point you made, like somebody could be looking on Airbnb and then be like, oh, they have an Instagram page, so I'm not gonna get scammed on this listing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. Have you gotten any direct bookings?
Yeah, actually. So I get a lot of it from Facebook groups.
Okay.
So I'm very connected with like, because I'm local, right? I'm to DFW and a lot of people here go there. I think that's one advantage of being in an area where you reside in and then a lot of your neighbors go there. Like I have friends and family and then I have like the mom groups that I'm in, just, I can advertise there. So I think that's definitely a plus.
Right.
Yeah, that I'm here. And yeah, so that's where I get most of this,
How much
Facebook.
would you say is your like direct booking versus like Airbnb/VRBO?
Yeah, so it's different. So for my river cabin, I think this year I was at 35% direct booking. Yeah, which is pretty good, surprisingly. So I'm very surprised about that. And then my other cabins are not as, it's mainly like Airbnb, VRBO.
Yeah, is this your biggest cabin, the river one?
Yeah, it's my biggest.
Okay. So maybe just bigger groups looking for more
Yeah,
things.
and I think because it's more special, I would say, because it's on the river and then there's a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, people really like it, I guess.
I agree. I agree. It's one of my favorite places too. And when I talk about Broken Bow, I kind of like almost have to forewarn people. And I'm like, listen, it's a great little town. You'll have fun. But the real getaway is just like being in the cabin. Like the last getaway I took is like, I literally just sat in my cabin for 3 days with my family. Like we had food, we had drinks, we played pool. Like I'm like, it's not like a holiday that you go to in Europe that you're like, I got to see every sightseeing in the world. And then I come back and then I need a vacation for my vacation.
Yeah.
Like, this is like at least like a getaway. Like you're just enjoying yourself.
Vacation, right? Like it's a staycation. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's different from the Smokies because that one you actually have to go to places when you're there, right?
Yeah. There's so many attractions. It's like Las Vegas for kids is how I describe the Smokies. Like, there's just like a strip and then there's just like attractions for like miles on end. Like,
wow. Yeah, but I feel like Broken Bow is young. It will, I mean, you have the casino that's coming on. There's going to be concerts there. They're building all these new restaurants. I think I feel like there's a lot of potential in that area for sure.
Yeah, so, I think it's going to continue.
It's getting started. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to continue to grow, and then you can kind of choose because you can go to the Smokies and choose not to do any of those things and like stay in Roy's Valley, and you're away from all of it, and you can just have your little escape, go into the Smoky Mountains, and come back. Like you can totally do that, or you can choose to go out with the kids and go to all the attractions. You get the best of both worlds in a way.
Yeah,
definitely see Broken Bow heading that way in like the next 10-15 years. It's such a tourist town.
Yeah,
I think it's going to do really well. So what made you want to do Broken Bow and not just like buy an Airbnb in Dallas? Because you would have been right there, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's just more exciting, I guess, to do something that's more of like a true vacation, destination. And then, with the restrictions in Dallas, I mean, they just banned short-term rentals in Dallas. So, yeah, and I like the design part of it. I feel like with a house, I can, be creative and do all of those like design ideas that I have in my head. So, and that's my favorite part of like SDRs. It's just the design aspect of it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Did you go to design school? Do you just like doing it? How do you find inspiration? design? Because I have like zero design skills. Always hire
I
out.
mean, I feel like I've always had that eye, but I never really. I guess it was never encouraged with me growing up because I was good in math, and so that's what I focused on growing up. And so I kind of forgot that part of my brain that was good in the arts. So I don't know. I like doing it. I would think that I'm pretty good at it, and so yeah. I wish I went to school for it, honestly, or did architecture, but I did engineering, which is completely different from what I from this. Yeah.
But you enjoy doing it. And I've seen your designs. They're beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
You do awesome. So moving on from kind of owning your properties, buying properties, you said to get into co-hosting, I want to say earlier this year. Like what prompted that transition?
I think just, I wanted to try it out and see if I like it first, because I've heard other people who was like, okay, maybe I can do that too. Yeah. So, and I wasn't even marketing myself as a co-host. Honestly, I reached out to somebody who was having struggles getting bookings. Mm-hmm. And then they trusted me. I haven't hosted before for some reason. So, yeah, that was really my first co-host gig. I just reached out, their DM this owner, and then she said yes. And that's how I got my first co-hosting client. Without any, I didn't have any, clue what I was doing. Yeah. So, and I think just the cash flow, right? Because it's really like full profit. I mean, you're not investing if you already have the systems in place anyway. It's a good way to get cash flow, without capital, basically.
Yeah. And then we could go out and buy more deals.
Yeah.
You work a job, you manage these properties, you co-host, and you have kids and a whole family. How in the world do you manage everything? And I know this is a question everybody wants to ask.
I am not managing everything. That's yeah. So I mean, there's just so many hours in a day, right? And I think understanding that this is short term for me, like the sacrifice of the grind is short term, and then that in the future I will be able to do this all full time. I think that's just what gets me through, because I don't know if this is for me, it's not sustainable for me to do all this work. Full-time job, co-host, manage my own properties, prospect for 5 years, right? For me, this is a short-term thing that I'm doing so that I can hopefully, do this full-time. And because it's hard. I mean, it is hard. You work late, you wake up early, you're at work, and then you get messages from guests or something breaks down. You have to excuse yourself from a meeting. Yeah, so it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard. It's not easy, but it's the payoff is there in the future.
I like it. So one thing you mentioned, I know this was right before we started the call, was hey, I had a fridge stop working. I just replaced it. And I think you said it really casually, but I know a lot of people would be like, what? I bought a property and you have to replace a fridge. That's so much money. And all of this, people just freak out about these. What I consider big household expenses, right? But I talked about I had to replace a couch, and I was like, it's not a big deal. You get just part of owning the business. So how do you get to a mindset where I got to replace this fridge? We're just gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an investment, and I feel worse things can happen. I mean, I had a friend of mine, his cabin burned down on the day that it was done. It hasn't even gotten yeah. So.
Oh my God.
I think it's perspective, right? Because if you think about, I mean, I'm just replacing a fridge, right? It's $1,500. Okay, I'll do a claim on that. I mean, worse things could happen for sure, right? Your cabin could burn down. I don't know, something major, your foundation could be bad. You have to replace the whole roof, whatever. So I think it's just putting things into perspective, and I think it's just experience, because. I mean, I'm sure if this happened to me the first month that I'm doing this, I would be freaking out. It's oh no, I have to replace a fridge. But 2 years in, it's I've been through worse than this, for sure. Yeah,
it's so true, and you get used to it. And I know you do this because I do this. Is we hang around people who do this all day, every day. Mm-hmm. So when you're I replaced a fridge, I'm oh cool, it's totally normal. But if you tell somebody outside that's terrible, they're wait, what? What did you say? And
Or if it was my house, like, okay, maybe I won't replace that yet. Maybe
let me
maybe
call the warranty on this.
Yeah, yeah. Everything has to be perfect in the cabin, but not my house has like the
Yeah,
towels are not as great. Yeah, it's just not perfect. Oh.
love it. So I know we follow each other on social media, and I always see like you're out with your kids at the cabins, you're out with your husband, your family. What's it been like bringing like your family into all of this? Your kids watch you do this. How's that?
Yeah, yeah. So my husband's not part of like the business, but I mean he enjoys it, right? I think he likes the idea. Oh, we have cabins in this area.
So my husband, and I like the money it makes. That's how that you do.
Oh. And I would say so. My parents were against this for a while, and
Really?
I think my mom still kind of like doubts that okay, is this really what you want to do in life, right? That they,
Why were they against it? Like what
I
prompted?
guess not really against it, but like you have a great job, just I went to school for this and all. I think it's that whole mentality of being an employee versus
Do you think part of that is being, having Asian parents? Because I hear that from a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's their upbringing too, right? I think just the mindset about money and you have benefits and all of that. So, which I completely get, right? But yeah, I mean, my kids, I feel like they're watching what I do, right? Even though they're young, I want them to normalize that being an entrepreneur is not strange or it's not something that only a few people do. I want them to realize that this is an option for them when they grow up, that it's normal, people actually do this. Because for me growing up, I never had, I guess we were never, all of our family, they're all W2. Nobody had a business, so it was I'm the only one who's doing this basically. So yeah, so I think it's just I want my kids to realize that it's if you have an option. You don't have to go to college if you can actually do something. Start a business.
And do something different.
Yeah, do something different. Yeah.
Do they enjoy it? Do you find that they?
Oh yeah, they love it. Yeah. I'm worried every time they're there, Joe. They're gonna break something. Like, no. Yeah, it's stressful in that sense, but yeah, they love it.
Have they brought on any unique perspective in like how you design your cabins? Like, are you more family friendly because of that? Like, do you put a play set, or are you like what in your design element for it in your cabins?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want it to be kid friendly because I'm also, I guess, I'm the target market also, right? I have young kids. We like to have something that they can do when they're there. But also, I don't really. I guess for me, this is really like a business decision, right? This is not a lifestyle investment for me.
Mm-hmm.
I did not buy these cabins to stay in them like 2 times a year. I'm fine not staying in them for a year if I don't have to, if it's booked all the time, right? So, because I know some people like invest in properties where they could stay and retire. Like for me, it's not like that. It's really purely like a business decision. So I have pet friendly cabins. I don't have pets, but I made it pet friendly because I know that will generate more revenue. So, yeah.
Did you set out that vision when you started buying, or did that kind of come about? Because I know I see a lot of people being confused with like, why am I buying real estate? Like, is it lifestyle? Is it investment? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I think because I'm at that stage in my life where I'm not thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna retire in this house like in 5 years. I'm not there yet. So it's really just like and I could 1031 into another property. I'm not married to the properties that I'm in. For me, they're cash generating assets. That's what they are. So although I'm emotionally tied to it in a way because I designed it and I put a lot of time and effort into it, I think that's the only reason why it would be hard for me to let go because I designed it myself. But other than that, I think of them as just pure assets.
That's awesome. How did you come into the mindset though? Like it's okay to kind of buy this? Because I'll be honest, like the first cabin we bought was kind of expensive, right? Like for like, you could buy a regular house for like 200K, right? But like going into Broken Bow was an expensive market. Going into, and like we just never spent like that level of money or cash or got a loan.
Hmm.
So like, what was that like when you're like, we're just gonna go in and we're just gonna buy this and like, you know,
We'll
make
see
it.
what happens. Yeah. I think I mean, I still get scared, you know. I mean, it's always scary whenever you're closing and then, okay, this is it. Like, gotta make it work. I think it's just, you know, you decided on it, you just stick with it and you just have to make it work. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make this generate revenue. I think that's always been my mindset. It's just, you know, you stick with it and then you do everything that you can to make this work.
Yeah, I think that entire attitude, like you do everything you can, is so me. Like I'm with like this has to work. Like there's no solution in this where this doesn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember when you were not showing up on Airbnb on
Yeah.
that river cabin? Yeah, I was on the phone every day. There were no help. Yeah, no help, but you just figure it out.
You just kept going, and I was like, I'm gonna do all like I'm gonna open the Instagram page, the Facebook, I'm
Yeah.
gonna put people there, and then like slowly it started picking up, and then even today, like part of my little like checklist for my team is you got to call Airbnb and make sure those two properties are showing up
Mhm.
page one for these dates, and like if they're not, then they'll open a ticket, and they have like a whole SOP essentially that goes through like this is what you do if they say this. This is what you do if they say this. Just because I mean, like Airbnb, people have like a love-hate relationship with Airbnb,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, like it does give me the most amount of bookings.
Yeah.
It's like, and it is kind of the easiest, even when there's issues or damages. Like our team's just so good at being like, hey, this was damaged. We understand things happen. Airbnb will help us out, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, no, like the first month that happened, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, what did we just buy? And that is literally like one of our top performing properties in the portfolio. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told you that. I think we spoke before you signed on. I was like, I just want you to be like completely honest about this.
Yeah, it's a high risk, but also it's a high payoff, right? Like, okay, so the fourth one that we're building, it's an A-frame.
Oh,
I'm sure it's gonna look a little strange because because with A-frames, it's a little harder to work with because it's a triangle. So you can't do like a 4 or 5 bedroom. But I feel like the more unique it is, the better. I think it's just for me, I really want to be able to set myself apart from.
I love it. So what are you doing? So I know the A-frame is going to be really unique. How big do you think it's going to be? How many bedrooms? Are you putting in a pool? What are you thinking?
So we're doing, I think it's 3 bedrooms and there's a loft upstairs.
Okay.
And then I think two bathroom. And then we're gonna add a pool as well on that one.
Is that part of construction, like putting the pool in, or is that?
That's what we're trying to do is roll it into the construction loan, so we don't need to do it, after the fact. Yeah. So super excited about that.
Is this next to the property you recently bought that has?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like adjacent, so we could do like basically host a bigger group because they're like close to each other.
Love it. How was that lending conversation like, or what was it like? Because you have a loan on the current house that you have. So how was getting a construction loan?
Oh, so we separated the lot from the mortgage. That's what we did.
Oh, okay. You guys were able to subdivide.
So it's separate. So we did 2 closings. Because they won't allow us to like build on that same lot, different house. Yeah, so that's what we did. So it's a separate lot. We own the lot outright, and then we're just gonna do a construction loan on that lot.
How is construction loan like? Is the process any different than getting a traditional loan where the house is already built?
So ask me that next month.
We'll find out.
Yeah. So yeah, this is my first time doing a construction loan. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So have you done one before? Okay. So I think the rates are a little higher, maybe, of construction loans, and then you pay interest on what has been drawn from the loan. So it's different phases. Like the first phase is like clearing the land. So they're going to release funds from that, and then you pay interest on whatever they release. Yeah, and then it becomes like an actual loan at the end of it.
So you got a point, which was interest rates are higher. We currently know interest rates are pretty high. It's not that they're high, but they're just way higher than what they used to be in 2021 and 2022 when you started investing. But you're still buying properties. Like how does that work?
Because we can build for a lower price, basically. Okay. Yeah. So I talked to different builders. I found one that was priced pretty well, and he was recommended by another cabin owner. Yeah, so I think we're gonna save money on that because even with the high interest rate, if it's like 8%, we're still gonna be good because it's the cabin itself is not gonna cost a lot of money.
Yeah. And then the other part is, I think you'll agree with this, is if you cash flow, does it matter if your interest rate is high or not? Like if you're still making money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like my first one it was more expensive, but the rate was lower. So yeah, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's just scary because, you look at that interest rate and you're like, oh my gosh.
I think the scariest part is seeing that, your first year mortgage statement and you see how much mortgage you've paid, which is nothing. And you see how much interest you've paid and you're like, are you joking? Yeah. Like it's only interest. Like I feel like I'm making interest only payments right now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so you have a property coming online, you're co-hosting, you're buying more deals. What's next for you? Are you gonna buy more in Broken Bow? Have you eyed other markets yet? What do you think?
So I honestly want to do another river cabin.
Okay. I love
but
it.
Not there, not the same area that we're
Yeah, a different area.
A different one, yeah. So I'm trying to find one that's also riverfront. And then I think maybe I'm done with Broken Bow. Maybe, right?
You have 5, right?
Yeah, because I'll have 5 by then.
All the ones you co-host.
Yeah, and then so I want to kind of grow my co-hosting business too. Now that I have the resources, basically, like the virtual assistants. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then maybe go into other markets.
Well, you talked about virtual assistants. So you have a VA. How did you find her? How's that been?
Yeah, so it was through online jobs at PH. Mm-hmm. This is actually I think my 4th VA. I've been through a bunch of them already.
We've all been there. It's perfectly normal.
No, I think it's my fault too because I was hiring people who were not Airbnb savvy. Okay. So this one had, she was an Airbnb level 4, okay. Whatever that is. So, yes, I have 2 of them. They're actually like partners in real life. So we live in the same house, which is convenient because she trained him basically. Okay. So he has no experience with Airbnb, but he's also he was supporting another company in the US. And he actually is pretty good. He's good with systems, processes. He's also very familiar with sales and cold calling. So which I think is a great skill to have for a VA. So yeah, that's my team right now. Then the cleaners, of course.
How did you? Let's talk about your team. You found your VAs at what property number were you when you found your first VA?
So I actually just hired one last month or 2 months ago. Yeah. So yeah, when I had 5 properties that I was managing, that's when I started thinking, okay, I can't acquire more if I don't have help. Right. Yeah. So that's really when I started getting serious about, okay, I need to have a VA.
That's awesome. How about your on-site crew? So cleaners, handymans, where do you find them? How do you vet them?
Yeah, so similarly, I went through a lot of people before I found my cleaners. So I have 2 different cleaners right now. I like having diversity in my pool because before I only had one, and then when something happens to her, I have to turn over everything to another person. So now I have 2 different people. So they have their own handyman. They're great. I mean, they communicate well. They're really my boots on the ground in that area. So
that's awesome. Any tips for anyone that's looking to find a cleaner, a handyman that's struggling? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think getting references is good from other cabin owner or STR owners. Meeting them in person is also good. If you can do a background check, I think it would be good because my last one has a felony. So
oh no.
Yeah. So she had legal issues. And so so I think because in that area, right, it's kind of wild west. So anybody could start a cleaning business.
Yeah.
So I think it's if you have the ability to do that, right? To do a background check, because I mean they have access to your closets, they have access to your house. So I think it's important to have somebody that's trustworthy, who's not gonna steal from you, things like that. So yeah, I think meeting them in person is good if you can, or doing a video call, asking them about what would you do if this happened, like how would you what's your communication style, all those things. It's like a job interview, basically. Yeah.
Some are hiring them, right? To yes. What about your tech stack? What PMS do you use? Pricing software tools?
Yeah, so I have Owner Rez, and then Pricelabs. I did like rank reads before in IntelliHost, but I don't really do that anymore because I feel like I don't see a lot of value in it from my perspective. So yeah, that's pretty much my tech stack. So too.
Yeah, that's similar to mine. I'm on trial for IntelliHost right now. I'm on a 30-day free trial.
Yeah.
Booked right now, so it's hard to be like, oh no, like help me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to like manage and be like, what are we gonna do? How far is your calendar open? Are you open 6 months out, 12 months out, a year out?
Yeah, 1 year out.
And do you find people are booking a year out? What are you seeing travel patterns like?
Well, I think for the river cabin, because it's bigger, I already have bookings for next year for the summer. Not a lot, but there's some in there. There's sprinkled. Yeah, but I mean, I think the bigger cabins, they tend to book out. And then, of course, so I price it up higher because it's, next year. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. This was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got to chat.
Yeah. Yeah.